The massive orbital station hung above Earth like a silver crown. Inside the diplomatic hall, Hyun-woo stood waiting near the airlock. He wore his formal uniform, the one with all the medals he never really talked about. His hands were clasped behind his back as he watched the alien ship dock with practiced precision. The airlock hissed open. Steam rolled across the polished floor. Through the mist came the visitors. Commander Velthar entered first. He was tall, covered in sleek feathers that shimmered blue and green under the lights. His species came from Luminara, a world the humans had only seen in pictures. It looked like paradise. Warm suns, gentle breezes, floating cities above calm seas. Behind Velthar came 6 more warriors from his world, each one moving with the grace of trained fighters. Next came Kress and his honor guard. They were reptilian, with scales that caught the light like polished stone. Their world, Verdantis, was famous across the galaxy for its gardens and peaceful meditation temples. Kress carried himself with dignity, his head held high. 3 guards flanked him, their eyes sharp and alert. Hyun-woo stepped forward and bowed slightly. It was a gesture, both formal and friendly. "Welcome to Orbital Station Unity," he said. Velthar's beak curved in what his species used as a smile. "We are honored, human. The Galactic Council speaks highly of your people's recent contributions." Velthar's beak curved. "In honors with our weak." Velthar's beak curved in what his species' recent contributions. "Recent is right," Kress added, his voice a low rumble. 15 years in the council. You are still newcomers." There was no insult in his words, just fact. Hyun-woo nodded. We have much to learn. And we have much to see," Velthar said, looking toward the viewport where Earth hung in space, blue and white and beautiful. "Your world is classified as Class 12 on the Deathworld scale. We have trained in simulation environments up to Class 8. We are curious to experience the real thing." Hyun-woo followed his gaze. From space, Earth did look peaceful. The storms were just white swirls. The oceans looked calm. The continents seemed inviting. "I should warn you," Hyun-woo began carefully. "The simulations don't quite capture everything." One of Velthar's warriors laughed. It sounded like wind chimes. "We are the elite guards of Luminara. We have trained for harsh conditions." Kress nodded in agreement. "Our order has protected Verdantis for 10,000 years. We do not fear challenges." Hyun-woo said nothing for a moment. He had been in their position once, young and confident, thinking his training had prepared him for anything. Then he had gone to the Kelvin Wastes on a rescue mission, then to the frozen moon of Arcturus, then to places that had no names, just coordinates. "Of course," he said simply. "Shall we proceed to the shuttle?" As they walked through the station, other humans passed by. Workers, scientists, a few military personnel. The aliens noticed how easily the humans moved, how they carried themselves. There was something in the way humans walked, a certain confidence that came from deep in their bones. They reached the shuttle bay where Ji-won and Dae-won waited. Ji-won was reviewing a datapad, her dark hair pulled back in a practical bun. She worked in terraforming, turning dead rocks into living worlds. Dae-won stood with his arms crossed, his scarred hands visible even from a distance. He was head of security, and he looked the part. "Everyone ready?" Ji-won asked, looking up with a smile. She had the kind of face that put people at ease. "Our guests are eager to see Earth," Hyun-woo said. "First time?" Dae-won asked the aliens. "First time to any death world," Velthar admitted. "We are prepared." Dae-won and Ji-won exchanged a glance. Something passed between them, something the aliens did not understand yet. It might have been concern. It might have been amusement. It was hard to tell with humans. They boarded the shuttle. The interior was spacious, designed for multiple species. The aliens settled into their seats, securing themselves with practiced ease. Hyun-woo sat near Velthar. Ji-won took a seat beside Kress. Daewon moved to the cockpit to speak with the pilot. "Descent in 5 minutes," came the pilot's voice over the intercom. His name was Minho, and he had flown through nebulas and asteroid fields without breaking a sweat. The shuttle detached from the station with a gentle clunk. Through the viewports, Earth grew larger. The aliens pressed closer to the windows, taking in every detail. "So much water," one of Kress's guards whispered. "The oceans are enormous. Thank you for watching. And center defenses in please to the plan work. 70% of the surface," Ji-won said. "We evolved on the land, but the sea shaped us too." 70%? Velthar repeated. "That is significant. Luminara has only 12% surface water, and Verdantis has small scattered seas," Kress added. "This much water in one place. It must create interesting weather patterns." Hyun-woo looked out at the clouds swirling over the Pacific. "You could say that." The shuttle began its descent angle. The first touches of atmosphere made the hull glow slightly. The aliens watched, fascinated. They had done this hundreds of times, approaching their own worlds, but something felt different here. The atmosphere seemed thicker, more resistant. "Just entry turbulence," Minho called back. "Nothing unusual." But the aliens gripped their seats a little tighter. They told themselves it was normal caution. Deep down, though, something ancient in their minds whispered a warning. They were entering the territory of apex predators. They were going to the place that made humans. Earth grew larger in the viewports. The blue became deeper. The white clouds began to show their true scale. And the alien warriors, elite soldiers from peaceful worlds, felt the first small seed of doubt take root in their hearts. They had no idea what waited below. The shuttle hit the upper atmosphere, and everything changed. First came the shaking. Not the gentle vibration they had felt before, but a rattling that made the whole craft groan. The aliens looked at each other with wide eyes. This was normal entry, they told themselves. Every planet had atmosphere. Every descent felt rough. But then Minho's voice came through, calm and almost bored. "Gravity compensation is active at 40%. If anyone feels heavy, that's normal. Earth's gravity is about 2.3 times standard." Velthar felt it immediately. His body suddenly weighed more. The pressure pushed down on his chest, making each breath require effort. Around him, his warriors shifted uncomfortably. They were strong, trained for combat. But this invisible weight was something they had not expected. 2.3 times? One of the warriors gasped. "How do you move? How do you fight?" Hyun-woo looked up from his datapad. He seemed unbothered by the weight. "You get used to it. We grew up with it, so our bones are denser, our muscles stronger. Your bodies will adjust after a few weeks." "Weeks?" Kress rumbled. Even his breathing sounded labored. "The medical team will help," Ji-won said gently. "We have gravity chambers for training. You'll be okay." The shuttle dropped lower. Through the viewport, the aliens saw clouds approaching. Massive white towers of vapor that reached kilometers into the sky. They were beautiful in a terrifying way. Then they entered the cloud bank. The world went white. The shuttle rocked violently. Velthar gripped his seat so hard his talons dug into the armrests. Beside him, a warrior made a sound of distress. "What is happening?" Velthar demanded. "Storm cell," Minho said from the cockpit, still sounding unconcerned. "Just a summer thunderstorm. We'll be through it in a minute." The shuttle pitched left, then right. Rain hammered against the hull like bullets. Then came the lightning. It lit up the entire cloud from inside, bright as a star. For one frozen moment, the aliens saw the true scale of the storm around them. It was massive. A cathedral of water and electricity. The thunder came a second later, so loud it vibrated in their bones. One of Cress's guards made a holy sign with his claws. "Great ancestors," he whispered. "The sky is attacking us." "It's just water and static electricity," Jiwan explained. But even she was watching the storm with respect. "They happen almost every day during summer. Some places get them year-round." "Every day?" Velthar could not believe it. On Luminara, storms were rare events. They happened maybe once a year. And they were gentle things. Light rain and soft winds. This was violence. This was the sky trying to kill them. Another lightning bolt struck close by. The shuttle's shields flared, dissipating the energy. The aliens flinched as one. "Shields at 93%, Minho reported. "We're fine." Day One had returned from the cockpit. He stood easily despite the turbulence, his balance perfect. "Your worlds don't have weather like this?" "No," Cress said flatly. "Verdantis has a stable climate. Our winds are calm. Luminara has floating cities specifically because our surface is so peaceful," Velthar added. "We chose to live in the sky for the view, not for safety." Hyunwoo nodded slowly. "Earth's weather is active. Our planet has a molten core that generates a strong magnetic field. We have large oceans that create complex weather patterns. Our moon is big enough to pull tides. Our axis is tilted, giving us seasons. All of it together creates interesting conditions." "Interesting," Velthar repeated weakly. "You have a gift for understatement." The shuttle broke through the bottom of the storm. Below them spread the Pacific Ocean. From this height, they could see the curvature of the water, the way it went on and on, forever. The aliens stared in silence. "That is all water?" one of the warriors asked. "All water," Jiwan confirmed. "The Pacific covers more than 60 million square miles. It's the largest ocean, but we have 4 others." "5 oceans," Cress said. The number seemed to horrify him. "Do you know how reactive water is? How many things it can dissolve? How many chemical processes it enables? You live on a world covered in universal solvent. We drink it," Day One said with a slight smile. "About 2 liters a day per person." The aliens had no response to that. As they flew over the ocean, the pilot changed course slightly, adjusting route to avoid Hurricane Yuna. "It's a Category 3, sitting about 200 miles east of our flight path." "Avoid what?" Velthar asked. Minho highlighted something on their displays. In the distance, they could see it. A massive spiral of clouds, so large, it looked fake. The eye at the center was clear and calm, but around it raged winds that could tear cities apart. "A hurricane," Hyunwoo explained. "It's a storm system that forms over warm ocean water. That one has sustained winds of about 120 miles per hour." The aliens did math in their heads, converting to their own measurements. The numbers made no sense. Wind that fast would strip flesh from bone. "And you just avoid it?" Cress asked. "Usually," Jiwan said. "Sometimes we can't. We've learned to build structures that can survive them. Mostly." "Mostly," Velthar repeated. He was starting to notice a pattern in human speech. They said things were fine, normal, manageable, but the reality was terror barely contained by engineering and luck. They flew on in silence. Below them, the ocean gave way to land. Korea appeared through the clearing skies. Cities spread across the landscape. Millions of lights, even in the afternoon sun. The aliens saw mountains, forests, rivers. It looked almost peaceful from up here. The shuttle began its final approach to Seoul. The gravity pulled harder as they descended. The aliens felt crushed into their seats. Breathing became work. Moving became effort. "Landing in 2 minutes, Minho said. "Hope everyone enjoyed the flight." The shuttle touched down with barely a bump. The pilot was skilled. The rear hatch opened, and warm air flooded in. The aliens smelled it immediately. So many scents. Plants and pollution and water, and 1,000 things their sensors could not identify. Hyunwoo stood easily and stretched. Around him, the other humans did the same. They moved, like the gravity meant nothing. Velthar tried to stand. His legs shook. He made it to his feet but staggered. One of his warriors caught him. "Take your time," Jiwon said kindly. "The gravity really is harsh, if you're not used to it. We have support exoskeletons if you need them." "No," Velthar said through his teeth. "We are warriors. We will adapt." But as they limped down the ramp toward Earth's surface, each one knew the truth. They had not even left the shuttle yet, and Earth had already defeated them. The real test had not even begun. The humans watched them struggle and said nothing. There was no mockery in their eyes. Only patience, and maybe a little sadness. They remembered what it was like to be weak in the face of nature. The difference was, they had been born into this fight. These aliens were visitors in a war zone, and they did not even know it yet. The park in Seoul looked beautiful. Trees provided shade, and flowers bloomed in careful gardens. Children played near a fountain. Old people sat on benches playing board games. It seemed peaceful. It seemed safe. To the aliens, it was torture. Soon-hee walked beside them, explaining things as their guide. She was a biologist who had worked with dozens of alien species. She knew how to speak simply and clearly, but even her gentle words could not soften the reality they were experiencing. "The temperature is 32 degrees Celsius, she said, checking her device. "With 70% humidity. Pretty normal for summer. Waste. 2. Velthar's feathers were soaked. His species had no word for sweat because they had never needed one. On Luminara, temperatures ranged from 15 to 20 degrees. This heat was suffocating. His warriors looked no better. Their breathing labored. Their movements, slow. Cress's scales had changed color, trying to reflect more light. But it did not help much. "How do you survive this heat?" he asked. "We sweat," Hyunwoo said simply. "Our bodies release water through our skin. As it evaporates, it cools us down." The aliens stared at him in horror. "You leak your own bodily fluids to regulate temperature?" one of Velthar's warriors asked. "Efficient," Jiwon finished. "It works really well, actually. Some of us can survive in temperatures up to 50 degrees for short periods if we stay hydrated." Soon-hee smiled and wiped her forehead with a cloth. Sure enough, her skin glistened with moisture. "We lose about 1 liter per hour in heat like this. That's why we drink so much water. We're constantly replenishing. Your bodies are in a constant state of crisis management," Cress said slowly. "And you call this normal? This is a nice day." Daewon commented. He had not even broken a sweat. Last week was hotter. They continued walking. The aliens moved carefully, each step calculated. The humans walked normally, sometimes pausing to let their guests catch up. Then they heard barking. A child ran past them, laughing. Behind him came an animal. It was covered in fur, had 4 legs, and teeth that showed when it opened its mouth. The creature was chasing the boy. And to the aliens, it looked like an attack. 3 alien warriors drew weapons. Energy shields flickered to life. "Stop," Sunny shouted. "It's okay. It's just a dog." The animal stopped, confused by the sudden tension. It sat down and tilted its head. Its tail wagged. The boy, maybe 8 years old, ran back and hugged the creature around its neck. "Sorry," the boy called. His name was Taeyang, and he had no idea he had just caused an international incident. Bori just wanted to play. Hyunwoo stepped forward carefully, hands visible and empty. "Stand down," he said quietly to the aliens. "The animal is domesticated. It is not a threat." "Not a threat?" Velthar's weapon was still raised. "That creature has the body structure of a pursuit predator. Those teeth are designed for tearing flesh. Those jaws can generate tremendous force. Yes, Sun He said calmly. Dogs are descended from wolves. Wolves are apex predators. But humans domesticated them about 30,000 years ago. Now they live in our homes. We call them pets. You brought predators into your homes? Cress lowered his weapon slowly, but his eyes never left the dog. Why? Companionship, Jiwon said. Protection. Hunting partners. They're loyal and loving. Bori there probably helps keep Taeyang safe. Right? The boy nodded eagerly. Bori sleeps in my room. She's my best friend. The dog barked once, happily. And the aliens flinched. Day One approached the dog and scratched behind its ears. The animal leaned into his hand, tail wagging harder. Humans and dogs evolved together in some ways. We shaped each other. They helped us hunt. We gave them food and shelter. Now we can't imagine life without them. You weaponized evolution, Velthar whispered. You took predators and made them love you. The humans had not thought of it that way, but they supposed it was accurate. A human woman jogged past them, running easily despite the heat and gravity. She wore minimal clothing and had devices on her wrist, tracking her movement. She did not even glance at the aliens. What is she doing? One of Cress's guards asked. Jogging, Sun He said. Running for exercise. She's probably doing 5 or 6 miles. For fun? Velthar could not process this. She is pursuit hunting with no prey? We run for fitness, Hyunwoo explained. Humans are endurance hunters. Our ancestors would chase animals for hours, sometimes days, until the prey collapsed from exhaustion. We can regulate our heat, maintain steady breathing, and keep going long after most animals quit. The aliens watched the woman disappear around a bend in the path. She had been smiling. Your species hunted by outlasting prey, Cress said slowly. You did not need speed or strength. You just kept going until the prey's heart gave out. Yes, Sun He confirmed. Not many species can sweat like we do. Most animals have to stop and cool down. We don't. We just keep coming. You are terrifying, Velthar said quietly. Birds flew overhead, chirping in the trees. Normal earth birds. Nothing special. Sun He pointed at them. Fun fact, she said. Birds are the descendants of dinosaurs. Dinosaurs were the dominant species on Earth for about 165 million years. Dominant species? Cress asked. What happened to them? Extinction event, Jiwon said. A rock from space, about 6 miles wide, hit Earth. The impact caused global fires, blocked out the sun, and killed about 75% of all life on the planet. The aliens stopped walking. They turned to stare at the humans. 75% of all life? Velthar repeated. The dinosaurs were too big to survive the aftermath, Hyunwoo continued. But some smaller animals made it. Mammals like our ancestors. We survived by being adaptable. By eating anything we could find. By refusing to die. And now you're the dominant species, one of the warriors said. For now, Sun He said with a shrug. Who knows what comes next? The casual way she said it chilled the aliens to their bones. These humans lived on a world that had tried to kill them over and over. Mass extinctions, ice ages, volcanic winters, plagues, and humanity's response was to adapt and keep going. Taeyang ran up to them, Bori at his side. Want to pet her? He asked the aliens. She's really soft. The elite warriors of 2 civilizations looked at the small human child and his domesticated predator. They looked at the humans who sweated poison, heat, and jogged for fun. They looked at the sky that could kill with electricity and wind. Velthar slowly reached out and touched the dog's head. Bori licked his hand. She likes you, Taeyang said happily. Velthar pulled his hand back, looking at the moisture on his feathers. The dog had marked him with her saliva. A sign of affection from a predator. I think, Velthar said quietly, we have made a terrible mistake coming here. But Hyunwoo shook his head. No, You came here to understand us. You're starting to. Come on. We have much more to show you. The aliens followed, because they were warriors, and they did not quit. But each one knew the truth now. They were not visiting another civilization. They were visiting something that should not exist. A species that took everything deadly about their world and turned it into advantages. And the truly scary part? The humans thought all of this was normal. The apartment building stood 23 floors tall. The aliens stared up at it with growing dread. They had already learned that Earth's gravity was crushing. Now they had to climb into the sky while being crushed. We have elevators, Hyunwoo assured them. My wife Minji is preparing dinner. She's excited to meet you. The elevator ride was smooth, but the aliens felt every meter of altitude. They were going up, away from the ground, in a metal box. On their worlds, buildings rarely went above 5 floors. Why would they? It was easier to build outward than upward. Why so high? Velthar asked, trying not to show his discomfort. Space efficiency, Jiwon explained. Seoul has 10 million people. We build up to preserve land for parks and agriculture. The elevator doors opened on the 23rd floor. The aliens stepped out, carefully, very aware of how far they were from the ground. This high up, if something went wrong. Hyunwoo's apartment was modest. 3 rooms, a kitchen, a small balcony. The door opened before they reached it. A woman stood there, smiling warmly. Minji was shorter than her husband, with kind eyes and flour on her hands. Welcome, she said. Please, come in. Don't worry about shoes. I know your feet are different. The apartment smelled like food cooking. Spices, and heat, and things the aliens could not identify. Their scanners were going crazy, detecting chemical compounds they had no reference for. This is my father, Jun, Hyunwoo said, gesturing to an elderly man sitting in a chair by the window. Jun looked old, his hair white, his face lined with years, but his eyes were sharp, and when he stood to greet them, he moved easily. Honored guests, Jun said, bowing. I hope the journey was not too difficult. It was. Educational, Kress managed. Minji's sister Unji arrived from the balcony. She wore casual clothes, but the aliens noticed scars on her arms. Old ones. Well healed. Combat medic, she explained, seeing their looks. I work in disaster zones. Earthquakes, floods, that kind of thing. Your planet has disasters? One of Velthar's warriors asked. Sure, Unji said. The tectonic plates move. We get quakes pretty regularly. Korea gets minor ones all the time. This building is designed to flex with them. Flex? Kress's eyes widened. The building moves? Has to, Hyunwoo said. Rigid structures break. We design everything to bend without breaking. It's a human specialty. The aliens noticed it then. The apartment was built like a fortress. The walls were reinforced. The windows were thick. The furniture was bolted down. This was not just a home. This was a survival shelter that happened to look comfortable. June led them to the balcony. I grow vegetables out here, he said proudly. The balcony was small, but every centimeter was used. Plants grew in containers, healthy and green. The alien scanners went crazy again. These plants, Kress said slowly, studying one with small red fruits. They produce capsaicin. That is a chemical weapon. Why are you growing chemical weapons? June laughed. It was a warm, grandfatherly sound. These are peppers. We eat them. Silence. You consume defensive toxins for pleasure? Velthar asked. They add flavor, Unji said, picking one and biting into it. Her eyes watered slightly, but she smiled. These are only medium heat. Some people eat much spicier. Your species developed resistance to plant toxins? Kress was taking notes now. This was too incredible not to document. We developed resistance to lots of things, Minji called from the kitchen. Dinner's almost ready. They moved back inside. The kitchen was small but efficient. Minji worked quickly, moving between the stove and counter with practiced ease. The aliens watched, cataloging everything they saw. Knives. Multiple sharp blades, each designed for cutting different things. On their worlds, such items would be controlled weapons. Fire. Open flames burning under metal pots. Controlled combustion inside a living space. A pressure cooker. A sealed container that used trapped steam to cook food faster. Essentially, a small bomb that humans used casually. "Is your kitchen a weapons storage area?" one of the warriors asked. Minji looked confused. "What? No, these are just cooking tools." Hyunwoo understood. On their worlds, kitchens are probably very different. Most species eat raw or lightly processed foods. We use high heat, sharp tools, and complex preparations. "Because we learned to use fire," June said, joining them. "Cooking food gave us more energy. More energy meant bigger brains. Bigger brains meant we got smarter. Fire changed us." The aliens were silent. Humans had weaponized fire itself and used it to evolve. Dinner was served. The table was set with various dishes. Minji had prepared a traditional Korean meal. Kimchi, grilled meat, rice, several vegetable dishes, and soup. "Please, sit," Minji said. "I hope you can eat our food." I checked the compatibility lists. The aliens sat carefully. The chairs were designed for humans, but they managed. The food smelled strange. Their scanners were screaming warnings. "This dish," Velthar said, pointing at the kimchi. "My scanner says it is fermented. You are eating controlled bacterial decay?" "Yes," Minji said happily. "Fermentation makes vegetables last longer and adds beneficial bacteria for digestion. Humans have been fermenting food for thousands of years." Kress examined the meat. "This is muscle tissue from an animal." "Pork," Hyunwoo confirmed. "From pigs. They're raised for food. You raise animals to consume them," Velthar said quietly. "We're omnivores," Jiwon explained. "We eat plants and animals. It's how we survived when food was scarce. We could eat anything." Unji poured drinks. "This is soju. It's alcohol. Rice wine, basically." "Alcohol?" Kress took the glass carefully. "That is a poison. It damages liver function and impairs cognitive ability. In large amounts, yes," Unji admitted. "But in small amounts, it's pleasant. Humans have been making alcohol for about 9,000 years. We drink it socially." "You voluntarily consume poison for social bonding," Velthar said. "When you put it that way, it sounds bad." Minji laughed. "The humans ate with clear enjoyment. They consumed the fermented vegetables, the cooked flesh, the chemical weapon peppers. They drank their poison. And they were happy." June ate heartily despite his age. "I climbed Bukhan Mountain last week," he mentioned casually. "The weather was beautiful." 5. June 8. "I had Buk. You climbed a mountain?" Velthar asked. "How old are you?" 78, June said. The aliens stared. 78 years in Earth's crushing gravity. 78 years of breathing reactive oxygen. 78 years of consuming fire-cooked food and chemical peppers. And he climbed mountains. "Our elder warriors retire at 40. One of Kress's guards whispered. "They spend their remaining years in meditation and rest. Different worlds, different rules," June said with a smile. "I plan to live to 100. My grandmother made it to 97, and she worked in the rice fields until she was 90. The meal continued. The aliens tried small amounts of everything, their bodies struggling to process Earth food. The humans ate and talked and laughed. They told stories about their work, their families, their hopes. After dinner, they sat in the living room. The walls held pictures. Unji, in a war zone, helping injured people. Day 1, in military uniform, standing with his unit. Jiwon, on an alien planet, watching a new ecosystem take root. Hyun-woo, receiving a medal, looking uncomfortable with the attention. You all serve, Velthar observed, in different ways, but you all serve something larger than yourselves. It's important, Minji said simply. We have to take care of each other. The world is harsh. We survive by working together. Cress looked around the apartment. This small space, high in the air, in a building designed to survive earthquakes. A home filled with weapons disguised as kitchen tools. A family that ate poison and drank toxins and smiled while doing it. I understand now, he said quietly. This is not just where you live. This is your fortress. Every human home is a fortress. I never thought of it that way, Hyun-woo said. But maybe you're right. We build our homes to last. We fill them with the people we love. We defend them when we have to. Outside the window, Seoul spread out below them. Millions of lights. Millions of humans in their fortress homes, living their lives despite everything their world threw at them. The aliens finally understood. Humans did not conquer Earth. They made peace with it. They adapted to its cruelty and turned their homes into sanctuaries. And they defended those sanctuaries with everything they had. It was beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. The evening air on the balcony was cooler now. The sun had set, and Seoul's lights created a galaxy below them. The aliens stood quietly, looking out at the city. They had been on Earth for less than one day, but it felt like a lifetime. Velthar's feathers had finally dried. His body was adjusting to the gravity, though every movement still required effort. Beside him, Cress leaned against the railing, his scales dim in the fading light. I need to say something, Velthar began. His voice was quiet. We came here believing we were elite warriors. We trained for years. We mastered combat forms that took decades to learn. We thought ourselves prepared for anything. And? Hyun-woo asked gently. Your children play in conditions that would kill our best soldiers, Velthar said. That boy in the park, Tae-young. He ran in heat. That left us gasping. He played with a predator like it was nothing. He lives on the 23rd floor of a building that moves during earthquakes. Cress nodded slowly. Every human home contains what we would classify as weapons. Every human meal includes substances we would label as hazardous. You live in a constant state of danger, and you call it normal. It is normal, Jiwon said. For us, we know Earth is harsh, but it's home. Minji came out with tea. Real tea, grown in Earth's soil, prepared with boiling water. She poured for everyone, the gesture simple and kind. My grandmother used to say something, Minji said. She lived through the war, through poverty, through times when food was scarce. She said, we survive because we must, but we live because we choose to. I think about that a lot. Unji joined them, leaning against the doorframe. I see the worst of humanity in my work. Disasters, accidents, violence. But I also see the best. I see people running into burning buildings to save strangers. I see neighbors sharing their last food. I see children comforting each other when everything is falling apart. You adapt, Velthar said. It is your greatest strength. We don't have a choice, Daewon said. Earth doesn't care about us. The universe doesn't care about us. So, we care about each other. A hologram flickered to life near them. Commander Rothnal appeared, Velthar's superior officer. The commander's feathers were pristine, and he stood in a climate-controlled ship orbiting the moon. Report, the commander said. How is the cultural exchange proceeding? Velthar looked at his warriors. They all looked exhausted, but their eyes held something new. Understanding. Maybe. Respect. Definitely. Commander, Velthar began carefully, I need to file a formal assessment revision of humanity. Proceed. Humans do not come from a death world in the way we understood, Velthar said. They come from a world that made them immortal through adaptation. Every generation faces impossible conditions and survives them. Every child is trained from birth to endure what would kill us. They are not warriors. They are something beyond that. Cress stepped forward. I would like to add to this assessment. My order has studied warfare for 10,000 years. We understand combat, strategy, honor. But humans understand survival. They turned their entire planet into a training ground. Everything that should have killed them made them stronger instead. The commander was silent for a moment. I see. And their military capabilities? We haven't even discussed their military. Daewon said quietly. You've been observing our civilian population, our ordinary people, our children and grandparents. Before the commander could respond, another hologram appeared. Jihye materialized beside the others. She was a Galactic Council representative, and she carried herself with authority. Commander Rothnall, she said. I think it's time we had a conversation about what humans have really been doing since joining the Council. Representative Jihye, the commander said, confused. What do you mean? Jihye looked at the aliens standing on the balcony. You came here to understand humanity, to see if the rumors about Deathworlders were true. But you've been asking the wrong questions. She brought up data on her display. Mission reports, casualty lists, success rates. 3 years ago, a mining colony on Kelvin Station was hit by solar radiation. The station was failing. The colonists had 2 hours to live, Jihye said. The council debated sending a rescue mission. It was deemed too dangerous. Then, 3 human ships launched without authorization. They pulled out 800 colonists. 2 humans died. They were both volunteers. More data appeared. 2 years ago, a biological weapon was released on Verdant Moon. Your world, Cress. The facility needed to be secured, but the pathogen was lethal to 98% of known species. Humans went in. They wore suits that failed. They were exposed, but they completed the mission. 30 humans went in. 28 survived. The weapon was destroyed. Cress's eyes widened. I remember that incident. The report said an automated system contained it. Humans wrote that report, Jihye said. They didn't want credit. They just wanted the job done. Velthar was watching the data scroll past. Mission after mission. Impossible situations. Human volunteers. High survival rates considering the conditions. Why? He asked. Why take these risks for species you barely know? A small voice answered. Because it's the right thing to do. Everyone turned. Taeyang stood at the balcony door. His mother had brought him to pick him up. Bori sat beside him, tail wagging. My teacher says we protect people who need help, Taeyang continued. He was 8 years old, and too young to understand the weight of what he was saying. That's what families do. Night. The adults were quiet. The child had said it so simply, so honestly. Families, Velthar repeated. We adopted the galaxy, Hyunwoo said quietly. Without really thinking about it. We saw people who needed help. And we helped. It's not heroic. It's just what you do, Minji nodded. Humans spent thousands of years fighting each other. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times. But we learned. We learned that we're stronger together. That protecting others protects us. That family isn't just blood. Jun spoke from his chair. I fought in a war when I was young. I saw terrible things. But I also saw humans at their best. Strangers dying for each other. Enemies becoming friends. People choosing kindness when cruelty would be easier. He looked at the aliens. We are not perfect. We are flawed and scared and make mistakes. But we try. We always try. Commander Rothnall was quiet on the hologram. He was processing everything he had heard. I came here to evaluate humanity's military capability, he finally said. To determine if you were a threat. Snow. And your conclusion? Jihi asked. Humans are the most dangerous species in the galaxy, the commander said. But not for the reasons I expected. You are dangerous because you make people want to follow you. You protect those who cannot protect themselves. You turn strangers into family. That kind of loyalty cannot be manufactured or forced. It is earned. Velthar looked at his warriors. They stood straighter now despite the gravity, despite the heat they had endured, despite everything Earth had thrown at them. I wish to make a request, Velthar said. My warriors and I would like to extend our stay. Not to study your military tactics. Not to evaluate your technology. We want to understand how to build what you have built. And what is that? Hyunwoo asked. A home worth fighting for, Cress said. We have cities and ships and wealth. But I stood in your modest apartment and felt something we have lost. You have a purpose beyond survival. You live for each other. We can teach you that, Minji said with a smile. But you have to be willing to learn. Taeyang ran to Velthar and held up his hand. The alien warrior looked at the small human hand. This child lived in impossible conditions and thought nothing of it. This child offered friendship to a creature from the stars without hesitation. Velthar took the hand carefully. I would be honored. Later that night, after the guests had gone to their quarters and the city had quieted, Hyunwoo stood on the balcony alone. Minji joined him, wrapping a blanket around them both. Do you think they'll understand? She asked. Maybe, Hyunwoo said. They're starting to see that humanity's strength isn't our weapons or technology. It's our refusal to face the universe alone. We're pack animals, Minji said. We always have been. And now our pack is bigger. Hyunwoo smiled. Much bigger. Far above. Ships from 100 worlds orbited in peace. In the council chambers, species debated and discussed. In 1,000 systems, humans worked alongside aliens, building a future together. And on Earth, in a modest apartment on the 23rd floor, an elderly man tended his pepper plants and smiled. His world had tried to kill his ancestors for millions of years. But they survived. They adapted. They thrived. And now they were teaching others how to do the same, not through conquest or force, but through kindness, through family, through the simple act of sharing a meal and saying, Welcome home. The example. We learning reeling the nining. The galaxy was learning what it meant to be human. And slowly, carefully, it was learning to be better because of it.